This is Beam City Sports here on 96.5 FM. Again, your host, Tyler Texera, here along with co-host Luke Mitchell. And we got a lot to jump into today here on 96.5. And what are you excited to get into today, Luke?
I'm excited about the whole thing. Again, we're going to be doing a little bit more ranking. I've been excited about all the rankings and stuff, getting into all the top players, all the excitement, and then also talking about Boogie Cousins coming up. That's one of my favorite players, probably one of the best centers of all time. So I'm excited to talk about that. But yeah, glad to be back in the studio. Hope everybody's doing good, having a good end of your summer. Everybody's back in school, back on that grind. So good luck to everybody with that.
Yeah, we are back again for another week, and we will be ranking the top 10 small forwards in the NBA this week. Also, we will be going over Demarcus Cousins, who went on Draymond Green's podcast and talked a lot about his time in Sacramento, his upcoming in the NBA, and becoming a star, and, everything he went through. Then we'll get into some of our favorite forgotten NBA players, and then we'll close it out with some MLB and NFL news. But I'm very excited to come back with another week of rankings here on this show.
Waiting and ranking, man.
Yeah, we're waiting and we're ranking as, we're still in the dog days of the offseason, but each week we're getting closer and closer to the regular season. Could not be more excited for that. But if you are listening on YouTube and you still haven't subscribed, go hit that subscribe button, leave a comment down below. And if you're listening live on the radio, thank you for tuning in again on another week. And, we also got a replay time slot as well. We will be replaying this show 8 a.m. Friday mornings and 6 a.m. on Thursday mornings. So now we have 3 time slots with this same show. So that's very exciting.
Pretty excited about that. That's good news. More basketball talk if you miss out on the live show. So that'll be pretty awesome.
Yeah, and to start off the show, we're gonna go over our rankings from our point guards and shooting guards. We both put a poll out on social media to see what the fans think of our top arguments from both of those rankings. And in the first week, I would say our top argument was Steph Curry versus Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Yep. That was definitely a big talking point in that episode. And the fans voted, and Curry got 82% of the votes, and Shai Gilgeous got 18%. So I won that one in the first week of the point guard rankings. Not a surprise there. Curry, is a fan favorite.
Yeah.
But Shai still got some respect with 18% of the votes. And then for the shooting guard rankings, which was last week, we had Kyrie Irving, who you had above Donovan Mitchell. Yep. That was our biggest arguing point. And you won that one. So Kyrie got 76% of the votes. Donovan got 24%. So right now we're 1-1.
Kind of 1-1.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll come down to this, who our argument is, and see who comes out on top.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. I don't think we'll have the exact same top 10, so I definitely think we'll have some argument points this week. And we'll see what the fans think after we put that out.
Yeah.
But, we can jump into our small forward rankings, our main topic of today's show. And I will start with my number 10. It is a very surprising one. I definitely don't think you're going to have him on there. He's one of my favorite guys at the 3 position, and it's Deni Avdija.
Whoa.
Yeah, from the Washington Wizards last year. I watched a ton of their games. He averaged almost 15 points a game, 7 rebounds, and played 75 games out of 82, which is a ton.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and
that is pretty impressive.
He did get traded this year from Washington in this offseason to Portland, so I do expect a very, very big year out of him in Portland. But yeah, he's just a great defender. He shot the ball very well. He's still only 23 years old. I think he has very, very big upside, and I love his game. And in the last 30 games of the year, he averaged 20 points a game and had an explosion of over 42 points in one of those games.
Okay.
So
I respect the pick.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously getting traded to Portland, I feel like they're probably in a better point for rebuilding than the Wizards are.
Yeah.
I feel like the Wizards have always been kind of in shambles and don't really know what direction they're going. But Portland, I feel like they have a really nice, strong young core. And he's kind of a sleeper, really.
Yeah.
You don't really hear his name at all. But no, yeah, that's a pretty shocking top 10 pick.
Yeah. I did think you would be shocked by that one.
Yeah.
But watching the Wizards just a ton last year. Shout out to my boy Sebastian out in London. That's his team, and he made me watch a ton of their games. And Deni was the best player on their team last year. Not even close. Going into the year, I was excited to see Jordan Poole become a star, and it really didn't happen.
He didn't live up to any of that.
Denny really took the reins of the team, and I was surprised to see him get moved because, Washington, he's still a super young player, and that was, I said, their best guy last year. So I think he's going to have a big year.
Do you know what he got traded for? If it was like picks or
well, they got Malcolm Brogdon in that deal.
Okay.
You know, the Wizards were just trying to get a vet in there and move
try
on.
And get some sort of like leadership.
They got picks from it as well.
Yeah,
so
that's what I assumed.
But yeah, jump into your number 10.
Number 10, I got Franz Wagner at number 10.
Okay.
Yeah, out in Orlando. I feel like he's probably going to be one of the leading young stars in the league in the next few years, averaging pretty much 20 points a game, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists in 72 games. That going with Paolo Banchero and then like Jalen Suggs over there. They're all, a great team coming up. And then adding KCP as well. I feel like that whole team is going to be really meshing well.
Yeah.
And, Franz, lights out shooter. It's every open shot pretty much he can get. But, I feel like he's going to be taking another jump next year, possibly becoming an all-star, I feel like.
Yeah, I could see that happening, in his future all-star. But that's interesting you had him number 10. I had him as my number 9.
Okay.
Franz definitely had a big year last year. Kind of a step back from his initial rookie year where he really surprised a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought he was going to have another big jump last year. It didn't really happen, but he still was a very solid player.
I feel like having Paolo out there might have kind of taken a little bit. They've been together, but I feel like Paolo kind of took that kind of leadership role over and kind of had those numbers right there. But
he definitely did.
He still fills that spot, what they need, and gets the buckets that they need.
Yeah, Franz, in the playoffs, he really struggled in their Game 7 loss against Cleveland. I think he was 0 for 12, I want to say, in that Game 7. Yeah. But besides that, he still had a good playoff run. And in the regular season, like we said, he averaged almost 20 a game and played 72 games. So that's a lot of games that he played.
Oh, yeah.
And like I said, he was my number 9. So curious to see who your number 9 will be.
I got Lauri Markkanen at number 9.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I see Lauri. He's already going to be the team leader for the Jazz. And there was a big question mark if he was going to come back or if he was going to get traded, possibly to the Warriors. I still see that being a possibility of him getting traded because he is that big of a piece. I feel like he can be that kind of like third star, second star to take a team pretty far. So I feel like, maybe if he does get traded to a different team with like another star, they could kind of just ramp it up. Or if the Jazz make another move and try and get someone to come and play with him, I feel like Lauri Markkanen, just his explosiveness too, like you don't really expect it out of him, just a type of player, but his IQ is super quick, and I feel like he's deserving for that spot.
Yeah, last year he was one of the only players with over 100 threes and 100 dunks in the season, and he's 7'2", and he can shoot it, he can put it on the floor, he can get to the basket. He averaged 23 a game last year on 8 rebounds.
He's an all-around player.
Yeah, but the interesting part with him is, like you said, the Jazz re-signed him after, a lot of talks on him getting traded. But he still can get traded, not for a while, though. I think halfway through the year, this year, he will be eligible to get traded again.
Yeah.
Definitely going to see a lot of teams going out there, but the Jazz are definitely going to ask for at least
They're gonna ask for a lot.
5 first-round picks.
Yeah.
He's still super young.
If they ask for that.
Yeah.
They might ask for a different player.
Sure.
I don't know. They could be going to that rebuild mode, but yeah.
Yeah, he was a little higher on my list. So surprised to see you had him at what, number 8, you said?
And number 9.
Oh, you had him at number 9?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, so I had Franz at number 9. You had Franz at number 10. So there's one guy in here that I don't know who it is, but there's someone in here that I don't have that you do have. So
okay.
I'm curious to see. But my number 8 will be Brandon Ingram. For the New Orleans Pelicans last year, averaged almost 21 a game.
He was going to be higher for you.
Yeah, I wanted to put him higher, but he kind of had a weird year last year. He had some big games when Zion was out.
Yeah.
But when him and Zion are on the floor together, it doesn't mesh that well, except if they're going against the Sacramento Kings. You know, they could do no wrong against the Kings last year. But Brandon Ingram is still an elite mid-range scorer, and his playmaking has really improved in the last few years. He's averaging almost 6 assists a game, which is surprising to see from him. Someone who you don't expect to really move the ball like that. He's really just a straight-up scorer.
Yeah.
But he's really elevated his game a little more, and I think the next step for him is becoming an elite defender.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see if the Pelicans will hold on to him.
He's got the length, so hopefully he could, turn that into block shots.
Yeah. He definitely has the long arms, but it's all about effort out there for him. He definitely gives the effort on the offensive end, but on defense, it's not all the time.
Is a little lackluster.
Yeah. But yeah, so he was my number 8. Jump into your number 8.
Number 8, I got our boy DeMar DeRozan at number 8.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did want to put him higher, but I feel like he also kind of took a little step back over the past 2 years. He's been more of like, he gets the numbers up for sure, like 24 points last year, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. So like he puts the work in, but he's definitely not as explosive of a player as he was. Took a leadership role in Chicago and just like kind of found a new way to score buckets and get the ball to other players. But I did want to put him higher, on the bias side. But I feel like just with him coming to Sacramento, I feel like he won't be putting those numbers up exactly just with all the other scores we have. But I think he's still going to fill that role and get the open shots and easy buckets for us.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. His numbers will definitely decrease at least a little bit playing in Sacramento with, not being the number 1 option, maybe not even the number 2. But last year he had a very impressive year, almost played in every game and averaged 24 a game. So that's
again why I wanted to put him higher.
Yeah. I had him higher. So I was surprised you because you have the bias a little more than me sometimes. Like last week you had Malik higher than me.
Yeah.
But so DeMar, he was up there for me more than, what'd you have, number 8, you said?
Number 8.
Number 8, okay. But yeah, he's just an Iron Man out there, like we said. Interesting point to note he was on Jeff Teague's podcast, a few days ago.
Yeah.
And he talked about how his injury back in 2021 really made him take a step back. And, like you said, he's lost some of the athleticism that he used to have because he used to be one of the most athletic players in the league.
Yeah.
Getting to the rim, dunking on people. And then he had to really learn from that injury. He couldn't move the same. So he watched guys like Joe Johnson.
Exactly.
He told Jeff Teague he was watching Michael Jordan Wizards highlights.
Every single game
Michael Jordan played on the Wizards. And that's just how he loves hoop.
Yep.
And that is something I am so excited to have here in Sacramento.
Super excited. That'll probably, that's going to evolve De'Aaron's game. Keegan too. I think Keegan's going to average 20 points a game next year.
That would be so huge for Sac if he could average 20.
I think he will be up there at 20 points a game.
Yeah. I am a little worried about him, though, from the 3-point,
Yeah. Oh, Keegan or DeMar?
No, DeMar.
Yeah.
DeMar.
No, yeah. He, obviously isn't the greatest 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
But, I don't think we'll really need him out there as much. Just because he'll be able to get down low, do a little paint touch, and then someone's going to crash, and he'll be able to kick it out to someone who can shoot, Malik or Keegan. Or De'Aaron's numbers are already going up. They're back up to like 42%, I think, catch and shoot threes.
Yeah, that's big. The catch and shoot is definitely big.
Catch and shoot is what we're going to use a lot next year.
Yeah, but like I said, DeMar learned from, when he got injured and he had to learn the footwork in the post and, just using his pump fakes. He has the best pump fake in the league right now. We're definitely going to see that a lot this year.
I kind of want to move DeMar up now.
Yeah, I know. I'm making you second guess it. But, let's move on. So my number 8 was Brandon Ingram. Yours was DeMar DeRozan.
Yep.
My number 7 is Lauri Markkanen, who we just talked about.
Yep.
Who's your number 7?
Number 7, I got Jimmy Butler.
Wow, that is very, very low.
Was that the name that you... low.
Yeah, that is very low for Jimmy Butler. I know he had a down year last year. This is going to be a very interesting
it's going to be interesting.
Point.
Yeah, dang.
Because I am very high on Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler, dang.
He's really a playoff performer.
He's top 5 for you.
He's top 5 for me. Yeah, Jimmy Butler is top 5 for me.
Okay.
But, he didn't have the numbers last year. Almost 21 a game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, only played 60 games. But we know what Jimmy Butler can do.
He's capable of a lot of stuff.
When he gets to the playoffs, he's one of the best.
One of the best playoffs. But, you're not in the playoffs for the whole year. You're in the regular season all year. And you need that kind of player to play all year.
Yeah, I feel like we say it every year. We want Jimmy Butler to take the regular season more seriously.
Yeah.
Because the Heat are always a low seed, and then once they get there, we saw 2 times they've had magical runs where Jimmy just leads them and makes it to the finals somehow. But last year in the playoffs, he was hurt. They didn't have him at all. So
it's just it will be an interesting year going into next year. I feel like the only reason why I did put him so low is because last year he just kind of took not a fall off, but just a little hiccup in the road.
He did.
It is a question on him also if he's going to be in Miami for all year next year, or so that'll be interesting to see where he goes if he does go anywhere. I kind of do want to see him leave Miami. I feel like he does. Him out of anybody in the league, I think he deserves a ring.
Wow. Yeah, he does work hard. He's come from nothing.
Yeah. But no, if Jimmy scored like, I don't know, maybe 5 more points a game, I mean, obviously being hurt didn't really help him at all in the playoffs. But I feel like Jimmy kind of fell off a little bit for me last year.
Yeah, I was a little high on Jimmy, even though he had such a down year last year. I was really taking into account his playoff run from the year before when he averaged over 30 a game in every series.
Yeah, that was insane.
And made it to the finals, like I said. But, man, he's still a two-way player as well. Had to put him above some guys just because of his defense. And
that is true.
Yeah. I think he's going to have a big year, though. I think he's going to have a bounce back. Maybe he'll start taking the regular season more seriously and get those points per game up. And that would really help the Heat because they struggle scoring the ball.
Oh, yeah.
They're a good defensive team, but they really struggle, getting that offense out there, especially if Tyler Hero's hurt like he usually is half the season. But
it's kind of tough for such a young guy. Like, you don't want that at all.
Yeah, it's because Tyler Hero has to take most of the offensive responsibility when he's out there. And Jimmy Butler just needs to put his foot down like he does in those playoff runs and try and score more than he does. And I think the Heat will be better off because of it.
I will say Jimmy does try to force up a lot of shots.
Yeah.
He takes a lot of wild shots sometimes. And like that's one thing that I kind of have a fault in his game.
So you had him at number 7, you said?
Number 7, yeah.
Okay, that's very low for me. I had Laurie at number 7. But who's your number 6?
I got PG at number 6.
PG at number 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I've always loved Paul George's game. Just like the way he plays. He's an all-around player, really. He could do anything, really, on the court. And then him leaving to Philly, I think this is the best fit he could have ever found in the league. I think Philly's going to be a top 2 seed next year in the East. And then, if not, in the finals, I think. I mean, not if not, but if better, in the finals. And then, just him, Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, everybody over there, that whole I think that's the most well-together big three that we've seen in the league for a while.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of the big threes now, you see, 2 really good point guards pair up, like Luka and Kyrie. It's just, that's kind of
they clash.
It's a weird clashing.
But you're definitely right about the Sixers team. They have the perfect trio because they all are so different.
Yeah.
Like Tyrese Maxey's that fast point guard that can shoot very well, and then PG's that two-way wing that can guard guys and score.
His
also
defense is insane.
Almost 23 a game, and then Embiid is just arguably the best center in the NBA, maybe the best player. But yeah, Paul George, I had him number 5, so I had him one above 6.
Okay.
But he was an All-Star last year. That was his 9th All-Star game. And
who did you have at 6?
I had DeMar DeRozan at number 6.
Okay.
I had him above Laurie, above Ingram. But we talked about him a lot already.
Yeah.
I think Paul George he's going to maybe take a step back in the scoring department, maybe a few points down.
Yeah.
But what puts him above DeMar and some other guys like Ingram is his defensive ability.
His defense.
And even getting up there in age, I still think he's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league.
His hands are too quick. They're down. You see him playing down low a lot of the time, but then his versatility is so quick, getting up and just he sees where people are on the court. He can block a pass really quick. Sorry.
He has high basketball IQ, and I think that's really going to show playing on a very good team in Philly and not being asked to do too much like he kind of was in LA, especially with Kawhi always being out. I do think Paul George is still one of the best. He has the best handles for a wing of all time. I'm going to say it. No other wing player has ever had the handle that Paul George has. What do you think about that?
I mean, I'm looking at the list right now and then thinking about other forward.
I'm talking all time.
All time. Yeah, I'm
talking
trying
all time.
to think about other that might have. Paul George might have
just the smoothest handle and the ability to get to his spots.
I feel like it's probably just his length and everything is so well balanced that it's just
that's a very good point. He's so balanced out. Even KD, I feel like he has also one of the best handles, but it's kind of like a bigger crossover that he has. He has super long arms, and Paul George is kind of more I don't know, like you said, he's kind of like the perfect player.
It's kind of it's a perfect balance.
Yeah, like he keeps the ball low. He's quick with it.
Exactly.
He has an insane bag.
And then KD, like you said, if you time it right, you could just slide in there and kind of poke it.
Because he always has it out there, but with KD, it's different because he can just shoot over anyone.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so Paul George was my number 5. He was your number 6.
Yeah. So my number 5, I got Brandon Ingram right there.
Wow, that is very high for Brandon Ingram.
I feel like it's just because he dogged the Kings last year. I saw 2 of the games here in Sacramento for it, and every time he was on the court, I was like, damn it, like really? Like right now we're trying to make a comeback, comes back out, and then he shuts us down. Like he had a clutch gene that, like, I mean, just every time someone comes into Sacramento, I feel like just someone goes off, and like Brandon was always going off against us.
Yeah.
And then just, I mean, I feel like going into next year, I think he's going to take that next step. I do know he's also one of the trade options for New Orleans.
Yeah.
Just them trying to rebuild and maybe build it around Zion more.
Yeah.
Which I think is a mistake. But I think next year he's going to be playing like he either wants to take that New Orleans team, or he wants to play like he's trying to get traded somewhere else and get a better team on his back.
Yeah, he definitely still could get traded before the season even starts. You know, like we said earlier, the Pelicans don't have a center right now, a starting caliber one, and they have someone right behind Brandon Ingram and Trey Murphy III, who they have big expectations for, and he's also shown a lot.
Dogged the Kings last year.
Yeah, but, you know, it's interesting to see you had Brandon Ingram so high because the Kings were rumored to get him.
I know.
This whole offseason, the Kings were rumored to get him.
I was kind of a fan of it.
I was a fan of it, too.
I was a big fan
of
him coming.
When I initially heard the rumors of DeMar or Ingram or someone like that, Ingram was my number one guy.
I didn't even hear rumors about DeMar. I heard Ingram and Markkanen and
like Cam Johnson or
Cam
whatever.
Johnson, like a couple other players. And then out of nowhere, I didn't even see rumors of DeMar.
It was later that the DeMar rumors came up, but even when I heard the DeMar ones, I was still like, I think Ingram would be more of the guy. You know, he's younger. He probably has more star potential right now.
A little bit taller. Yeah. Like we needed that length a little bit more.
But I'm not mad that, you know, in hindsight, looking at the move now, because DeMar, which we didn't realize back then, but now we do because we've done so much, you know, heard so much of him talking about coming to the Kings and everything he's done, you know, for other teams so far. He's such a leader. Yeah. And that I think is why the Kings made the move to get him.
Yep.
Probably didn't have to give up as much like that you would have to give up to get Ingram.
Exactly.
But
we probably would have to give up a little bit more picks and stuff.
I don't think Ingram would have gelled as well as DeMar will with this Kings team, you know, playing around Sabonis and Fox. Like you said, Ingram still, in his mind, thinks he's a number one option.
Exactly.
And well-deserved. He's one of the best scorers in the league.
Yeah.
But,
that's also why I have him at number 5, because he is one of the best scorers. He creates an option for himself, like no matter what. If it's just like a little kick out and then a kick back, like down low, he can get a shot like if he wants anywhere. I feel like.
Yeah. So you have Ingram above Paul George,
right up
and
above
Jimmy
Paul
Butler,
George.
and Lauri Markkanen, and DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
Wow. I have all those guys above Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, that's the. I don't want to make that the argue point.
I know. Which one do I even put on there?
I don't want to do that.
But yeah, Ingram is my number 8, so I was a little lower on him. But the only thing about his game that I could say is not the best is like his effort. Like I mentioned earlier on the defensive end.
It's a little low sometimes.
It's a little lackluster at points on the defensive end. I just feel like he has such an ego that he knows he has to do a lot on the offensive end. So sometimes he might take plays off defensively. But when he's locked in defensively, you mentioned it earlier, he has all the tools to be a great defender.
Yeah.
So, my number 5, Paul George. Your number 5, Brandon Ingram.
Yep.
All right. And my number 4, who we talked about as well, is Jimmy Butler.
Okay.
I had him above Paul George, had him above DeMar, just, you know, based on his playoff success. I think if the Heat get back there this year.
I'm so confused on where you have one of what? You have who at 4?
Jimmy Butler at number 4. And then I have Paul George 5, DeMar 6.
Who do you have off this list?
That's what I'm saying. That's confusing to me because I have Jimmy Butler at 4, and you have who's your 4?
Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, Kawhi's right above him for me at number 3.
So you don't have one of the you don't have.
We'll see. We'll see when the list comes back.
I know who you don't have on your list.
I don't honestly, but. So we'll jump into the top 3. We'll say our honorable mentions before the top 3 when we come back from our break, and we're going to our break in 2 minutes. But Jimmy Butler is my number 4. Last year had a weird year. Yeah, I'm confused to who you have on there that I don't, but we will see coming up. But yeah, what do you have to say about? So your 4 was Kawhi.
Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, what do you have to say about Kawhi?
Again, similar to Paul George. I feel like both of them have pairing them up in LA, again, that just clashes no matter what.
Yeah. 2
of the greatest defensive small forwards who both have, Kawhi also has his bag. He can dribble, and then he can shoot amazing too. And then, I mean, obviously the injury prone, that affects a lot. I feel like he isn't really injury prone. I don't really understand this whole load management stuff, like rest, this, that.
It's always in the playoffs.
It's always in the playoffs.
With Kawhi. He always gets hurt. But
I mean, he did play 68 games last season.
that's what I'm saying.
That's impressive.
That's actually impressive for Kawhi. You would expect less than 60 most years. He also was an All-Star. Only his 6th All-Star game. That's kind of surprising as well.
I mean, yeah, we know he was snubbed in San Antonio like a couple of times.
Yeah.
So like he should be up there at like 8 or 9.
And he's been hurt. So
he has been hurt.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, Kawhi, he's been consistently like one of the best small forwards in the league. I know he was probably he was an MVP candidate once, like a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But no, yeah, I feel like he's just been one of the most consistent players that brings his game no matter what.
Yeah.
When he's on the court, at least.
He's also one of the most like iconic players from this era of basketball, or the one before, I would say.
Definitely.
Winning a Finals MVP in Toronto, one of the best finals I've seen.
Winning one in San Antonio on that stacked team where
he only averaged about 14, 15 a game and won Finals MVP.
I always love that the video of LeBron at the free throw line and then checking in as Kawhi Leonard. He's like,
he turns back, sees Kawhi's coming in, and he's like, oh no. Like LeBron knew Kawhi was different back then.
Oh yeah.
I do think he's taken a step back from his prime days.
Yeah.
But he's still, like you said, you can't put him not top 5 in the small forward list. Like he's still one of the best. Like you said, he's still one of the best defenders, and like he can get a bucket at any time. That is kind of why him and Paul George didn't work out. Like we saw Paul George play second fiddle to him, but it was just kind of a weird duo there.
Yeah.
The defense was great, but the offensive end was kind of a weird one. But yeah, so he's not my number 4. Jimmy Butler is my number 4. He's your number 4.
Mm-hmm.
So we will jump back into our top 3 when we come back from this break, and we will also do our honorable mentions, and then we will get into the rest of our show. Thanks for listening to 96.5 FM. We are back here on 96.5 FM. This is Beam City Sports, and this is Tyler Texera with Luke Mitchell. And if you guys haven't subscribed on YouTube yet, please go subscribe, hit that button.
Hit that like button.
Yep,
share.
hit that like button.
Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your dad.
Tell them all.
Tell your dog. Tell everybody. Subscribe to Beam City Sports.
Yeah, and if you're listening live on the radio, thank you again for tuning in. We are live
really
every
appreciate
week,
you.
Wednesdays from 1 to 2. So please tune in next week as well, and we'll be back with our next list. But we will go over what we have so far on our list. I will go first. Before we get into honorable mentions, my number 10 so far, Denny Avdia. Number 9 is Franz Wagner. Number 8, Brandon Ingram. Then we got Lauri Markkanen at 7. DeMar DeRozan at 6, Paul George 5, Jimmy Butler 4, and that's where I'm at. So go over your top 10 real quick.
I had to do a little adjustment on my list.
Yep.
I got Brandon Miller at 10. I love his game, just the young dog in him.
Yep.
Talk about him just for that sec. And then I got Franz back up at 9, Lauri at 8. I got DeMar at 7, and then I got Brandon Ingram. DeMar at 8, and then Brandon at 7.
Mm-hmm.
And then Paul George at 6, Jimmy at 5, and then I got. Oh shoot! No, yeah, I got Kawhi Leonard at 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll jump into our honorable mentions before we say our top 3. And someone who I really wanted to put on the list was OG Anunoby from the New York Knicks, one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. And once he joined the Knicks, they really didn't lose a ton of games. I think they only lost 2 games when he was healthy playing. But the only thing with him is his injury. You know, he's always hurt. He only played 50 games last year, and he got hurt in the playoffs as well when they really needed him. But everyone on that Knicks team got hurt last year. You know, Tom Thibodeau plays them the whole game pretty much. So it's bound to have some injuries. But this year, they have more depth. So I think OG will play less of a role, and that will really help him stay healthy. And I think I really wanted to put him on the top 10, but I had to have Denny in there over him. I'm just really high on Denny's game, especially on the offensive end.
Yeah, definitely.
But Brandon Miller, also another guy who I wanted to put on there. He's the next Paul George. That's his player comparison. They asked him when he got drafted who the best player of all time is. He said Paul George.
Wow.
And you see that with a lot of young guys these days.
They kind of say something a little.
Yeah, guys that are younger than us, they always say, like, Paul George is the best player of all time, or, like, he's my favorite player. Like, they always say, like, some crazy things because I mean, that's what they grew up on. They never watched Jordan. They never watched even maybe Kobe as much. But like Paul George is someone who all forwards probably want to watch and model their game after. And Brandon Miller's done just that. He averaged 17 a game in his rookie year. And I think next year he's going to have an even better year. Another guy that wasn't on my list or yours was Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of taken a little bit of a little tumble. I mean, his injuries definitely didn't help with his back and everything. That kind of set him back a lot.
Yeah.
He was projected to be probably one of the best players in the league.
When he got drafted,
When he got drafted, he was looked at as like one of the best people going in and probably top prospects. But
I think he's still like I consider him a role player at this point, and I think he's one of the best role players in the NBA. Like I think every team would love to have Michael Porter Jr. He's a great shooter. He doesn't pass the ball at all. He played in 81 games last year as well, so he doesn't get hurt. Ever since his big injury back in high school and college, he hasn't got hurt.
Healthy, there you go.
So that's big for him. He doesn't play great defense or move the ball at all. You know, they call him Michael Never Swing the Rock Porter Jr. So he definitely plays like that. He takes any shot, but he's almost 7 feet tall, so he can shoot over anyone. And playing with Jokic, it really just makes him one of the best role players in the league.
Okay.
Yeah. So one more guy that wasn't on the list, sad to say, Klay Thompson. Didn't make our list, either one of our lists. Averaged 18 a game last year. Played 77 games, so he played a lot. But he just shot the ball very poorly.
Comparing him to other small forwards in the league, he just doesn't match up.
He doesn't.
I mean, moving to the 3 spot doesn't really help him a lot, I don't think. He's definitely going to have to find a new identity for himself on the court, I feel like, moving into Dallas.
Yeah, I really hope he has a big year this year in Dallas. I think he's going to make a big, big impact on that team. And, you know, they just made the NBA Finals, so if they are anything less than that, it might be looked at as a disappointment. So very high expectations over there in Dallas. But yeah, we can jump in to our top 3. We got a lot to talk about after that. So my number 3 on this list is Kawhi Leonard. We've talked about him already, you know, his past finals MVPs and his just being a legend. He's definitely a first ballot Hall of Famer. But he's still below 2 guys on my list, just with the consistency, and these guys above him just don't get injured, and they're still some of the best in the league. So I think Kawhi, it's going to be a rough year for him in LA, I think, all by himself out there.
Definitely. I mean, they're going to be in a rebuild process, I feel like. Some people think they're going to be kind of up, kind of playing
maybe not
contention.
This year with the rebuild because they got the new arena.
That's
and
true.
Their owner won't want to get rid of someone that the fans want to see.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think a lot of teams want Kawhi.
It's the beginning of a rebuild, I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see them filling up that stadium that much either.
Yeah.
The Intuit, or not Intuit, what's it called?
I don't know. It's in Crenshaw, right? Or it's in
I think so.
Somewhere like that.
But I mean, I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Kind of stuck out there and kind of the forgotten team in LA.
Yeah. Where would you want to see Kawhi get traded to? You know, a team that comes to mind is the Memphis Grizzlies.
Grizzlies. Oh,
that would
I would not like that at all.
No, obviously we wouldn't like that as Kings fans, but just as an NBA fan, like the fit wise, man, that would be a very good fit over there in Memphis.
That would be a pretty awesome fit.
Maybe even Minnesota.
Minnesota would be a good fit.
If they wanted to trade some of their young guys, I think Kawhi would be big over there. Even like Houston.
Maybe in Cleveland.
Cleveland could be good if they keep their guys.
If they were able to keep, I don't think they would be able to keep Donovan or any of them if they picked up Kawhi. But like having that kind of, I feel like that might be
a good call.
A strong kind of thing.
But so a lot of teams looking at Kawhi. If the Clippers have a down year like we all expect them to have, I think Kawhi will be moved somewhat soon.
Yeah.
So who's your number 3?
Number 3, I had to do some moving around.
Yeah.
I had to move. So I had to do 10 for Brandon Miller. I had to do 9 for Franz. I had 8 for Lauri Markkanen. And then DeMar moved up to 7.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Ingram moved down to 6. And then PG was at 5. And then Jimmy was at 4, and then Kawhi went up to 3.
So we both have Kawhi at 3.
Yeah.
I thought you'd have him at 2, honestly, but I'm happy you don't because the guy at number 2 is very well deserving.
Definitely.
And we talked about Kawhi enough, so I'm jumping into the number 2. It's Jaylen Brown.
From
Boston. We both have him at number 2.
Yeah.
The reigning Finals MVP. He really, really showed out in this whole playoff run, hitting clutch shots and
Big
really
time.
looking like the best player on the Celtics a lot of the time.
He kind of just took control of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they asked him for it, if they asked him to step up in that role, or if just Tatum just went cold and he just, filled in the shoes. But that's what you need out of one of your biggest. I think he has the biggest contract in NBA history.
Yeah, maybe right now he does. I definitely know at a time he did have it. Always changes.
It always changes
the
now
new
with
signings.
the new but very deserving for this. I feel like anybody in the NBA is going to put him in at least the top 3 list, no matter what.
Yeah, he averaged 23 a game last year. Also a very, very good perimeter defender.
Yeah.
He's super athletic. We've seen a ton of posters from him in the playoffs, even in the finals. He can shoot it very well. The downside of him in the last few years was that people said he couldn't go left.
Can't use his left hand.
Yeah, but now he really can.
Yeah.
And he really takes that personal. And he's really upset, too. He got left off the Team USA team. And he's just not getting the respect that he really deserves. And, we've seen some workout posts from him in the summer, in the pool,
he's
underwater.
Big, man.
Yeah, underwater with a dumbbell and a basketball. How do you even do that?
I have no idea.
How do you even hold the basketball I don't understand. It looked like he was dribbling underwater.
He's going to be so strong going into next year.
Yeah, and he was dribbling with his left hand underwater. So if that doesn't tell you he's working on his game, then I don't know what does. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I feel like getting left off on the USA team, they just had too many people like him on the team. They can't really fill up the whole team with small forwards like him.
Yeah, I think he's upset though because 3 of his teammates all made the Team USA team, and he was the Finals MVP on that team, and was the only one to not make it. So I think he's going to come back in he's going to be pissed off next year.
Yeah,
and I think he's going to maybe be an All-Star starter. He was selected to his 3rd All-Star game last year, so definitely more for him on the horizon.
Definitely.
Yeah, let's jump into our number 1. No question here.
No question.
It's LeBron James. LeBron James is our number 1. He still averaged almost 26 a game last year, almost 8.5 assists and 7 rebounds.
You don't see that from a 39-year-old.
Yeah, at 39 years old, he's doing that, and he played 71 out of 82 games. So he shot so well from 3 as well, and he was selected to play in his 20th All-Star game.
Goes without question.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that he's at the top of this list.
Yeah. And, maybe before the Team USA, it would have been a question of him at number 1 or number 2 or something, the play that Jaylen Brown had. But after what we saw in the Olympics, it's hard to say he's still not the best player in the league.
Yeah. No, he put that team on his back.
Yeah.
Just led him to victory. And then, you don't see that in the NBA, though, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
The whole game is different, though. NBA is the greatest league in the world.
Yeah.
So having all these organizations go against him, everybody's there to beat the Lakers. Everybody wants to beat the Lakers no matter what.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody they just turn on a different switch and it's all right, we're here.
Especially
Big
when
stage.
they're in LA, they know the famous people are there. They want to put on. So you're definitely right about that.
Yeah.
Did you see what he said? What Bronny is not allowed to say to him on the court?
Dad, pass me the rock.
Yeah, he said Bronny is not allowed to call him dad once they're on the court. So
I think he's still going to call him dad.
No, I'm super excited to see Bronny and LeBron play together, though.
Yeah.
We're going to see that eventually.
At some point.
Yeah.
I know Bronny's going to start in South Bay, I'm pretty sure. But, they're going to bring him up at some point just to make it happen.
Yeah. And I feel like the Lakers are going to be kind of a circus until Bronny and LeBron play together. That's all the media is going to be talking to JJ Redick about. And that's all people are going to be talking about every game. But yeah, that's our top 10 list. Let's go over one more time really quick. I'll be really quick. And number 10, I had Denny Avdia as my number 10 small forward. Then I had Franz Wagner at number 9. Brandon Ingram was my number 8. Lauri Markkanen was my number 7. DeMar DeRozan, number 6. Paul George was my number 5. Jimmy Butler, number 4. Kawhi, number 3. Jaylen Brown, number 2. And number 1 was the GOAT, LeBron James. So who's your top 10 in order?
I got Brandon Miller at 10, Franz Wagner at 9, Lauri Markkanen at 8, DeMar at 7, Brandon Ingram at 6, PG at 5, Jimmy Butler at 4, Kawhi Leonard at 3, Jaylen Brown at 2, and LeBron James at 1.
All right, so that was our top 10 small forwards list going into the year 2024-2025, and Let's jump into the next segment on our show. We saw Demarcus Cousins go on Draymond Green's podcast the other day, talked a lot about his time here in Sacramento, which was very, very interesting to see. You know, me and you were obviously huge Demarcus fans growing up,
Big fans.
and
Big
saw
fans.
him play. I think we were at one of his best games ever where he had over 50 against Charlotte, and they went double OT or something and won. But
It's obvious what's happened here.
it's obvious what's happening.
It's obvious what's happening.
It's getting
here.
ridiculous. But
It's getting ridiculous.
we'll go over some of his stats before we get into some quotes he had. During his career in Sacramento, he played 6.5 years, and total, he averaged 21 points a game, almost 11 rebounds, 3 assists. He played in 470 games for the Kings, so I want to say he's the best center in Sacramento history.
I almost want to say he's one of the best centers
Players.
in history.
Yeah, he should be known on
Yeah.
definitely in the 2010s to 2020s as the best center in the league.
Yeah.
But after the Kings, it really went downhill for him. He played 11 seasons in the NBA for 7 different teams. Besides the Kings, he played for the Pelicans, the Warriors, the Rockets, the Clippers, the Bucks, and the Nuggets. But his total stats still look very good. He averaged almost 19.6 points per game in his total career with 10 rebounds. And he played in 4 All-Star games.
Yeah.
Definitely should have been more than 4, I think.
Should have been more.
But
That's what you
Yeah.
get for playing in Sacramento.
yeah, true that. But it's crazy to see. When I was listening to this interview, I thought about it, and I was trying to remember when his last NBA game was. And his last NBA game was Game 5 against the Golden State Warriors when he was on the Nuggets in the 2022 playoffs. And I was actually in attendance to that game. And I remember him coming off the bench, and he was lighting it up. He was hitting threes. He was posting up. He really looked like prime Boogie, and he was backing up Jokic. And they really almost beat the Warriors in that game, but then the Warriors closed it out in the end. But that was his last game in the NBA, and I was there. I didn't even realize it.
It's shocking to see him going that hard in his last NBA game, and then nobody wanted to.
Yeah, I don't know why nobody signed him after that. He only played 15 minutes in that game and had 19 points. So, I mean, you can't really do much better than that.
You can't. No.
Yeah.
That
And
doesn't.
So it's sad to see that he never got picked up again. But he'll definitely be remembered as a legend and should make the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But some quotes he had playing in Sacramento the first quote was, "It was very tough and confusing." And that was just him coming in as a super young rookie. And, you know, the confusion that Sacramento had as an organization was just not healthy for him.
I mean, coming into Sacramento, like if you didn't know anything about it, then obviously you would be surprised. And him playing in Kentucky, one of the best basketball schools at the time.
Yeah.
Like you have the best programs, you have top-notch facilities, you have everything going on. Obviously, all NBA teams have the same thing, but then like you're just going to come in and kind of have a different coaching staff. It's all about money, really. Going into the NBA real quick.
Yeah.
And then, the whole shift from being a top college school to going into a garbage dump NBA team. So that's got to be confusing.
It really hit him hard. As he said in this interview, he said at Kentucky, they treated him like pros.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got to the NBA, his vet was Francisco Garcia, Kings legend. And he said he remembers in his rookie year in Sacramento that they were asking him to do some like little task that he didn't want to do, and he gave some attitude back at it. And then his vet, Francisco Garcia, said he was very spoiled at Kentucky, and this is how it is in the NBA and all that stuff. And years down the line, when Francisco got traded from Sacramento to Houston, Francisco called up DeMarcus and told him he remembered telling him he was spoiled at Kentucky, and he wanted to take that statement back. He said he was completely wrong. He wasn't spoiled at Kentucky. That's how it should be in the pros.
It should be.
And in Sacramento, it was really just a dump.
It's a
like
dump.
You said. Yeah, it was not healthy in Sacramento. And DeMarcus, when he got that call from Francisco Garcia, was like, man, I knew I wasn't tripping. I knew I wasn't tripping. It was not good here in Sacramento.
It was a sad time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But DeMarcus said a lot of things were out of his control. You know, like we said, the changing owners, the changing coaches every year. And just the team being in a rebuild. But then he went back and said a lot of it was also his fault, which I was very impressed with, to see him, take some accountability.
Yeah.
We didn't really see that when his time here in Sacramento, but we can really tell how much he's matured.
He was 19 years old going into the league.
Exactly.
You're still trying to figure things out as an adult, trying to figure out who you are. Like a lot of time, like he said, like just you treated like a pro, like in college, and then you get to the pros, and then you're treated not like it's just Yeah, it sucks.
It's a tough adjustment, and he still had a ton of success individually in Sacramento.
Oh, yeah.
Even in his 6.5 years, he played for 6 different coaches. I wonder if we can name all those off the top.
George Karl's one of them that he hated.
Yeah.
Dave Yeager.
Yeah. Cordless William. Ty Cordless.
I don't know.
Something like that.
They were in and out.
Yeah.
They were in and out. It sucked.
It's hard to even think about it. Mike Malone was one of those guys. That was probably the best one.
Yeah, that was probably the best one. Yeah.
But he says for every organization, after leaving Sacramento, he's really seen how the good organizations work. Like he was in Golden State when they made the finals and a bunch of other teams. And he said it really starts like at the top. It starts with the owners, starts with the general managers. Yeah. And that's just a trickle down effect on the whole organization. And like he said in his time in Sacramento, it just wasn't, they weren't ready for success. They weren't built for it.
Nope.
But he really made it a point to not talk down on the Kings and said every team is going to have down years, and that he was just unlucky and was there for a long stretch of down years. So
it was a tough time. That was also when Seattle was also trying to fight for the Kings.
Yeah, exactly.
So like we didn't know if we were going to keep him, and stuck around and Sacramento showed like why we deserve a city.
Yeah, and he was definitely a big part of keeping him here in Sac as well.
I remember how hurt he was when he was leaving Sacramento. Yeah. It sucked.
Yeah, when he got traded and then he heard about it during All-Star Weekend. Yeah. Crazy. But one more quote on this was Draymond said, there's passion and there's attitude, and they live in the same house. It's pretty much the same thing, and that's definitely something both of those guys play with. And in 2018, when before DeMarcus joined Draymond in Golden State, he called Draymond up and said they both play with passion, but because Draymond wins, it's recognized as passion. And because DeMarcus loses, it's recognized as attitude and uncoachable. Yep. So just kind of unfair circumstances.
Exactly.
Draymond definitely said him and DeMarcus are very much the same. DeMarcus, he said, is a little crazier.
First Draymond disagreed. First Draymond
said,
like,
we're not the same.
No.
But then he realized that he is.
He realized.
When they played together.
Well, when Draymond started losing, when the Warriors started losing, that's when Draymond was just like, you know what? Yeah, they hate me now.
Yeah, because now, like Draymond said, the Warriors aren't winning anymore, and now he's being recognized as like someone that has the worst attitude in the NBA, uncoachable at this point, and all this stuff. And that's really how DeMarcus was seen his whole career.
Yep.
So it was really cool to see two of those guys who have similar reputations but different stories really talk about it, and it was a great interview. Honestly,
it was amazing.
Yeah, good to hear DeMarcus talking and still hooping overseas.
And obviously, I have my beef with Draymond just because he has his beef with the Kings. Yeah. And obviously on the court, I'm like, boo, Draymond, boo. Yeah. But then I love his interviews. His interviews he has are very sought out, very thoroughful. He has a lot of good questions too.
Oh yeah. Draymond's one of the best podcasters in that NBA space for sure.
It's funny seeing a podcast 2 hours after game time and he's talking about the game.
Yeah, he did that a lot when they in the 2022 when they won, and he would come after and he would be talking his smack oh yeah, they can't mess with us, all this stuff. But yeah, so that's it for the basketball talk today.
Also, DeMarcus just joined the FIBA league in China for 3-on-3 basketball.
Ooh.
So he's playing 3-on-3 basketball now for the Wuxi LV team.
Wow.
They're at the end of their world tour they're doing right now, but maybe we'll see him in the 3-on-3 tournament in basketball in the Olympics.
Yeah, maybe we'll see some Jimmer versus DeMarcus in the 3-on-3.
He's just playing in the China league, but I think he would play for the U.S. In the Olympics.
So maybe they could team up.
Jimmer and Boogie together on the court.
That would be
Were
awesome.
they on the court together when...
Yeah, Jimmer was there in Sacramento.
Dude, bring that, reunite that duo back together.
That would be awesome, actually. But yeah, so that was it for the NBA. We'll really move on quickly to some quick MLB stuff that's really stood out lately. And the only thing I can really mention in the MLB is one, Aaron Judge
is tearing it up.
Tearing it up every night when I turn on SportsCenter. He's homering in pretty much every game.
Every game.
He's on pace to hit 63 home runs right now. He has 51 total, hitting 333, already 122 RBIs. Insane. And the Yankees are first place in the AL East.
Unfortunately. Need Baltimore to step it up, man. Come on, Baltimore.
Yeah. You know what's crazy, though, is the A's actually drafted Aaron Judge. Did you know that? I did not know that. They drafted Aaron Judge when he was in high school, out of high school.
I did not know that. Wow.
And Aaron Judge decided to not go to the A's, and he went
He
to
went
Fresno.
back to college.
Yeah, he went to Fresno, and then, of course, Yankees end up drafting him.
Yeah,
So
definitely the better choice.
there's pictures of Aaron Judge as like in high school in A's uniforms that I saw the
Dang.
other day, and I was just like, what the?
I honestly had no idea about that.
I know, isn't that insane? But yeah, and he was born in Sacramento, like we said earlier. It's just crazy. But man, if the A's had him, we would be a completely different team. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
He's best
no,
hitter.
Probably not. We probably would have traded him.
True.
He would have been traded.
It's a good point. But he's the best hitter in the MLB right now.
He's going to go down as one of the best players ever.
Yeah.
If he keeps it up like this for the rest of his career.
He is power to all sides of the field. He can go opposite field to right.
Yeah.
He can pull it. And in Yankee Stadium, if you hit that fly ball to right field
gone.
With his strength, it's going to get out.
And then also I just saw a video. It was him and then Soto and then Stanton all hit home runs back to back to back.
Yeah.
Having those three power hitters like all in a lineup is insane.
Man.
And then Juan Soto and Judge both lead the league in walks.
Yeah, I saw that
I
too.
think Stan's at like 150 and Soto's at like 130. So
and they're like behind each other in the lineup,
back to back.
So as a pitcher facing that team, I would not be happy. But let's move on to the NFL. One thing happened, and the NFL season starts in exactly 1 week.
In a week
and
or
a
so.
day. Week and a day.
Got drafts coming up.
Yeah,
got everything
got
going.
my fantasy draft today, actually, so I'm really excited about that. But like we said, we talked about this last week. It was a lot of confusion with CeeDee Lamb's contract, and he ended up signing a 4-year deal with the Cowboys, $136 million.
No-brainer.
No-brainer.
That's actually the highest non-QB contract ever.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? That is the same money as Isaiah Hartenstein in the NBA. So that's how different that. And NFL, the money also isn't all guaranteed.
It's not all guaranteed.
There's a lot of little things. You have to play this amount of games. You have to do this. With the NBA, it's all guaranteed. And that's like the amount of money that Isaiah Hartenstein just got.
Yeah, and he's not even...
He's barely a starter.
He's barely even a starter.
And CeeDee Lamb is arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Top 3, top 2 wide receiver.
It doesn't make sense to me how the NFL can have, bigger TV ratings and people like football even more than basketball. But how are these top wide receivers not getting paid like more than these backup centers in the NBA?
I know NFL has different like tax probations on everything, on like how much you could pay like certain players, and then I don't know if there's a whole like salary cap. I don't know what it is at least for the NFL. I know NBA and MLB are completely different. Mm-hmm. I don't know. This is a no-brainer signing, though. There was questions if CD was going to return, if he wanted to, at least. But I feel like he wanted to stay in Dallas. Like, he has a team there. Mm-hmm. Dak hopefully will step up for him, keep it consistent next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think he's arguably the best or second best wide receiver in the league.
Where's your pick again?
In fantasy, I got the third pick.
So I see him probably falling to you, maybe.
Or Tyreek Hill. I would like Tyreek Hill more.
You want Tyreek Hill more?
Yeah, we'll see. Let's not let the people I'm drafting with hear that, because they might try and mess it up. But
you got top 3. You know how to.
Yeah, I'll be good.
There's no way like
McCaffrey's going 1.
McCaffrey's going 1,
and then hopefully CD 2, and then
yeah.
But next week, we will jump into 1140. Kyle Draper's radio show actually is ranking the top 40 Sacramento Kings of all time. Their 40 through 31 came out, but next week we will jump more into it with more of the list coming out. And we will give a little shout out to their show. We love Kyle Draper over here.
Oh, yeah.
Met him at the California Classic this year. Really took some time to talk to me. He was a really cool guy. But yeah, this has been another week of Beam City Sports on 96.5 FM. Thank you guys for listening. And if you're listening on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. Share, post it, like it, comment.
Turn on the notifications, all those stupid YouTube things.
Yeah, and if you're listening live on the radio, thank you again. It's been another good week.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, this has been Tyler Texera and Luke Mitchell on 96.